The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NBA Big 3 in 30. The 3 biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NBA Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest stories in the NBA.
Put some respect on the Houston Rockets as they beat the Cavs for the second time.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Rockets with the huge 135-131 win against the Cavs. Amin Thompson with a monster triple-double. Huge impact on both sides of the basketball. Jalen Green with a bounce-back performance after the two kind of last rough games that he had. He had 26 on 7 of 16 shooting, including 5 of 11 from downtown. And then Alperen Sengun just punching his all-star ticket. Exactly the type of performance you want to see as voting is hopefully still open, but kind of putting an exclamation point on why he should be in the All-Star game this year. 26 points against the all-defensive front court of Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So much to get into from this game. And look, this was a very, very different game than the last time these two teams played. The last time these two teams played, the Rockets won with their defense and a little bit of help from the basketball gods. They withstood the Cavalanche in the fourth quarter. They did just that again here in this one, but this is a game that the Rockets won with their offense. They were clicking on all cylinders really throughout the evening. They outscored the Cavaliers in the first 3 quarters of this game, 33-27 at the end of one, 35-27 in the second quarter, 33-30 in the third quarter. And it wasn't until that fourth quarter where the Rockets offense didn't even it's not like the Rockets offense faltered. It was just the Cavaliers went into overdrive and the Cavalanche started in that fourth quarter. The Cavs outscored the Rockets 47-34 in the fourth and final frame. Ime Udoka said after the game, he was like, "It hurts my heart to give up 47 in any quarter, let alone the fourth quarter." But the Rockets were able to hold on and win. They were able to execute offensively down the stretch. They hit some clutch free throws. They had some clutch plays down the stretch. And I can't look at this game and give, I guess, player of the game, whatever, maximum props to anybody else other than Amin Thompson. He was the difference maker in this game for the Houston Rockets. He had a monster triple-double, 23 points, 14 rebounds, 10 assists to go along with a steal, a couple block shots, 8 of 13 shooting. He was 7 of 10 at the free throw line, including some incredibly clutch free throws. And of those 14 rebounds, 4 of them coming on the offensive glass. And literally, the most important sequences of the game was there at the tail end with just over a minute to go. Rockets were leading 125-124. Cavs are on a 13-4, 13-5 run or something at this point to pull themselves back into it. Alperen Sengun tried posting up and he tried making a pass to a cutting Amin Thompson. It turned the ball over. Amin Thompson was able to steal the ball back. This was a legit turnover by LP. Amin Thompson steals it back, gets the pass back out to DB, who then reposts Alperen Sengun, and he gets fouled by George Niang, gets sent to the free throw line. Goes 1 of 2. LP misses the second free throw, but he gets the tap back to Dylan Brooks. Then the Rockets kind of swing it around the perimeter. Jalen Green misses a three-pointer, but there's another kind of offensive rebound attempt by Alperen Sengun, and it's, ball goes out off Donovan Mitchell. And then the Rockets get another look at this offensive possession. So the offensive rebounding was key here. And this is all kind of, started by Amin Thompson kind of recovering that steal and keeping the possession going strong for the Rockets. Sengun makes a move on Evan Mobley. The double team comes over and he barely misses this hook shot over Evan Mobley, but then who else is there other than Amin Thompson to clean it up coming out of the dunker spot? Because when they were putting so much attention on Alperen Sengun, that Amin Thompson was right there in the dunker spot, able to clean up so much down the stretch of this game. So he gets the cleanup dunk. Rockets go up 3. Cavs come back down. Donovan Mitchell gets fouled on a 3-point attempt. The Rockets had a handful of 3-point shooting fouls in this game, but none of them were quite as egregious as the Tari Eason 3-point shooting foul on Darius Garland last game. So thankful for that, but still a bad foul on Donovan Mitchell. You put a good free throw shooter at the line. He only hits 2 of 3 though. So Rockets are still leading by 1 They come back down and they run a little perimeter action. They get the ball inside to Alperen Sengun, who gets a seal on George Niang. Mobley comes over to help. Again, they're sending all this attention, all these double teams at Alperen Sengun. He gets a wraparound pass to Amin Thompson, who baits Evan Mobley up in the air with a pump fake and then goes up and draws the foul. Steps up to the free throw line and hits 2 free throws with ice in his veins to put the Rockets up 129-126. Cavs came back down, and Mitchell had a really good look at a 3, man. He did. But he missed it. Rockets got the rebound. Fred hits 2 of 2 at the free throw line. The Cavs had to foul. They come back down, and then to put the exclamation point on this win, Rockets put their all defense switching lineup in there. Darius Garland tried to drive the ball in, and Tari Eason, getting a little bit of redemption for last game, blocks the crap out of Darius Garland right there at the rim. Rockets go the other way. Jalen Green gets fouled. He hits 2 of 2 at the free throw line. Game is basically over at that point. That's all she wrote. But Amin Thompson, not only down the stretch of this game, those clutch plays on offense, the second chance opportunities, the plays around the rim, the clutch free throws, but over the course of the entirety of this game, he was guarding up and down the Cavaliers lineup in this one. He started out kind of on Evan Mobley, and we saw him guarding, but we saw him block Evan Mobley on a post up. That is a 7-footer that Amin Thompson is guarding down low. Evan Mobley tried to get to a post up and tried to turn around and put a little hook shot on Amin Thompson, and Amin Thompson was like, no, and blocked the crap out of him. And then later, after guarding Evan Mobley to start the game, we saw Amin Thompson moved over to guarding Donovan Mitchell and also Darius Garland's situation, right? Handling some of the guards on the perimeter. And that was a big part of why Donovan Mitchell, he had that hot start going, 3 of 3 from the floor, a very quick 8 points within the first 90 seconds of the game. And then Ime Udoka switched things up and put Amin Thompson on him, and he missed his next 10 or 11 shots in a row because you put Amin Thompson out on on Donovan Mitchell as his primary, so helping kind of to cool him down. Mitchell finished the game with 33 points, but it took him 27 shots to get there. Garland, a bit more of an efficient night, 39 points on 22 shots, 14 of 22 from the floor for him, but it wasn't enough. The Cavs backcourt, they lit the Rockets up to the tune of 72 points. Wasn't enough because the Rockets got a well-balanced scoring approach. All 5 starters scoring in double figures. Dillon Brooks was the only starter not to hit 20 points. You had Sengun with 26. You had Jalen with 26. You had Amin Thompson with 23. Fred VanVleet with 20. A huge night from Steven Adams off the bench with 14. Just an all-around team performance, but Amin Thompson was the guy getting it done on both ends for this Houston Rockets team. He's the X factor. He's the difference maker. This is the thing, the fabric of this team changes completely when you have that release valve of Amin Thompson playing out of the corner, able to cut in from the baseline, or playing out of the dunker spot and able to be that release valve for Alperen Sengun when the double teams come, or to just have him crashing the offensive glass like he did on that hook shot by Alp that just barely rolled off the rim. Those are the things that Amin Thompson brings to the table offensively. That's why even though he's not a knockdown 3-point shooter or a floor spacer, he still gives you so much on the offensive side of the ball. And that's not even including all the transition opportunities, him, igniting the fast break, him filling the lanes in transition, all the different things that he does. He completely transforms this Rockets team. He is their X factor, and he's playing like a star player right now in his role. He is crushing it in the month of January as a starter, and I cannot see any world where the Rockets ever remove Amin Thompson from the starting lineup. He's legitimately blossoming into a star caliber player right in front of our eyes. All he needed was the opportunity, and he's getting plenty of that now. Fantastic game for Amin Thompson. Again, second career triple-double. Let's talk a little Alperen Sengun in this game, who was just flat out dominant against the Cavs bigs. He made them look like frauds at various points in this game. 26 points, 9 of 17 shooting. He was 1 of 2 from downtown, 7 of 13 at the free throw line. So still, the free throws are still a little shaky for Alp, but he had the touchback on the interior in this game. At least it felt like it for a majority of it. To go along with, he had 8 rebounds, 3 assists, no turnovers, so taking good care of the basketball. And man, his presence on the inside, it didn't matter who the Cavaliers put on Alperen Sengun in this game. The fact that they were like guarding him with George Niang at the end of this game should tell you all you need to know about how badly Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley were getting burned. They put in Tristan Thompson for a 5-minute stretch because Allen and Mobley had no answer for LP this game. He was dominating them. It didn't matter what they were doing. He had a play on Evan Mobley where he had the seal on Evan Mobley and just immediately like got the entry pass and then flipped the shot up over the back of his head without even turning around, like literally a behind, like just a reverse throw up to the rim as Evan Mobley fouled him and got sent to the free throw. A little ridiculous kind of and one for Alperen Sengun. He had another one early in the game where he got the post up on Evan Mobley and picked up his dribble by accident and was looking for a release valve, was trying to pass it back out to get a repost or kind of reset the offense, and nobody could get open. So LP just did a little pirouette and just stepped right past Evan Mobley and scooped it up and in at the basket. They had no answer for Alperen Sengun in this game. And the best part was when the Cavaliers did ultimately go to their zone defense, it didn't matter. It didn't matter either, whether it was Alperen Sengun in the game, whether it was Steven Adams in the game. It didn't matter. The Cavs zone defense actually gave the Rockets some pretty serious problems last game. This game, the Rockets just absolutely carved up the Cavaliers zone defense. It didn't matter what they were throwing out there. The Rockets ball movement was impressive. They were moving the rock around. They were getting to the middle of the floor and then kicking it back out and then hitting cutters. And I mean, this was some like 2014 Spurs level of ball movement in this game to beat the Cavs zone. And the Cavs zone is really tough to beat because they've got so many lengthy guys out there between Allen and Mobley, like commanding so much of the space in that zone, which is how they're able to push their zone defense all the way out to the perimeter, right? It's not really a traditional zone where you're like occupying space kind of right around the 3-point line. They were like pressing that zone all the way out, and it didn't matter. Rockets were able to beat it, whether it was Sengun in there breaking it down from the middle, whether it was Steven Adams in there breaking it down. But on the interior, man, Sengun was fantastic. Yes, the free throws continue to be frustrating, and this was not one of Sengun's better defensive performances of the season, but you could say that for the entire Rockets team. I mean, this was probably one of their worst defensive performances all season long, especially with the 47 being given up there in the fourth quarter. The pick and roll defense was questionable. Rockets perimeter defense struggled at times. Dylan Brooks struggled to keep guards in front of them. There were plays where Fred and Jalen were letting guys get by up. Like, this was just a bad defensive performance across the board, but offensively, things were beautiful. The Rockets really were clicking on all cylinders. Some of the actions and the little plays between Alperen Sengun and Amin Thompson, like they had one where LP was rolling into the middle, off a pick and roll, passed it to Amin Thompson, who was cutting in from the baseline, and Amin was kind of caught in between wanting to like go up with it and I guess like finish at the rim or like shoot a jumper or whatever, but he caught it and then he like immediately dished it back to LP, who then put up the little push shot right there in the paint. And it was like a little beautiful, it wasn't quite a give and go, but just a little like boom, 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 like rapid fire back and forth between LP and Amin Thompson. And those two guys have such incredible chemistry with one another already. But this is exactly the type of game that you want to see from Alperen Sengun heading into the final week of NBA All-Star voting. The NBA All-Star starters have already been decided. Western Conference, Steph Curry, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Nikola Jokic. Those five make sense. Really no surprises there. The question mark is, will Alperen Sengun be able to make it as an All-Star reserve? And I don't see how not. Like, it doesn't make, like, he's got to make it, right? And this is exactly the type of game that you want to see against a all defensive front court for the Cleveland Cavaliers and Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, who had no answer for Alperen Sengun, had to go to Kenny Atkinson had to go to Tristan Thompson for 5 minutes to try and see if he could slow down Alperen Sengun. And then to close the game, he elected to go with George Niang as the primary defender on LP and was attempting to double and triple team him down the stretch in order to try and win this game. And it didn't work because LP repeatedly, he either got fouled and got sent to the free throw line, or he was able to make the right reads, the right passes, and get it to Amin Thompson, or even when he missed a shot, Amin Thompson was right there to clean it up anyways. And the only way that works, right, is all the gravity that Alperen Sengun commands.
From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win that first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings, whether you're betting on your favorite or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs. FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
A big win for Minnesota, a blowout win over Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets.
You are Locked On Timberwolves, your daily Minnesota Timberwolves podcast.
All right, the Wolves win over the Nuggets on Saturday was nothing short of a beatdown. Minnesota ended up winning by 29 points. They're up by 9 at the end of the first quarter. They're up by 11 at halftime. And then they dominated the third quarter. We're up by 18 going to the fourth, and it was basically garbage time for the whole fourth quarter. Jokic ended up only playing 32 minutes in this game. I don't think he came back in the game in the fourth quarter, if I remember right. Ant ended up only having to play 33 minutes. Like, this was a complete and utter beatdown. And the biggest thing was Denver's defense. The Wolves already beat Denver once this year, way back. I think it was November 1st was the date. And obviously the Wolves beat Denver in 7 games last year in a really weird second round playoff matchup. So I'm not going to say Minnesota owns Denver or anything crazy like that, because that would be, I think, dramatic. However, Minnesota is a very tough matchup for Denver for a couple of reasons, for several reasons, actually. But in this one, what was most apparent was Minnesota can use their size, even with no Karl-Anthony Towns, right? Like, that was a big thing last year, was Cat was so good defensively against Jokic. It allowed them to use Rudy as a roamer, which, of course, we've seen them do many times before. And it was very effective against Denver in those games the Wolves won decisively in the playoffs. But even with no Karl-Anthony Towns, the size and physicality of Minnesota with a Julius Randle, with the size of even some of their guards and wings, it's just like, Denver tried to guard Julius Randle with Russell Westbrook, which obviously was silly. And he forced Randle to one tough, ill-advised fadeaway jumper in the right corner early in the game. Besides that, Julius played bully ball with Russell Westbrook. And yeah, Westbrook's a big guard and he's likes to pretend like he can play tough. But, a couple flops in there, a couple times he just got beat. And Randle was able to, for the most part, guard Westbrook on the other end of the floor. Westbrook had 13 points on 10 shots. The Wolves goaded him into missing 3, going 0 for 3 from outside the arc. He had 4 assists, but he also had 4 turnovers, committed 4 fouls in 28 minutes. And a Nuggets starting lineup with Westbrook, Murray, and Christian Brown in it, that's a lot smaller than the Wolves starting lineup. Mike Conley is the only guy that's small in that starting lineup for Minnesota. And Michael Porter Jr. is a big dude, but it's only him and Jokic out there that have size compared to Randle, Gobert, McDaniels, and Anthony Edwards is a big guy in the backcourt. I'm oversimplifying it, but that is huge for Minnesota to have that size advantage. And when they play like they did offensively in this game, with ball movement and pace, not just fast break, transition pace. I'm not saying push things in the open floor, which they did do to success. Denver plays a lot faster than Minnesota typically. What I mean is pace in the half court, the ball snapping around the perimeter, pass, shoot, driving kicks, just active ball movement, smart plays. There was plenty of that in this game for Minnesota. It was the half court offense to me that was most impressive because of the pace that they put in it and taking advantage of the mismatches too. And early in the game, it was Ant passing out of doubles. It was Julius Randle taking advantage of mismatches, and Rudy Gobert, he was great on the short roll in this game. And that's something that when the Wolves acquired Rudy Gobert, I was impressed in his first year and studying up on what he did in Utah with him passing in the short roll. And that kind of hasn't been a strong suit for him this year. And I don't know if it's spacing related with Randle and things get mucked up and there's just less confidence in that decision-making, but Gobert on the short roll in this game, catching the ball near the free throw line or below the free throw line and swinging it to the opposite corner. And then secondarily, McDaniels pump, fake, and drive. He's not just letting it fly from 3 at this point. He's had issues making corner threes, as have many Timberwolves this year. Talked about that a couple weeks ago. It's been a problem. Just last year, they were the league's best corner 3-point shooting team, or top 3, and they're bottom 5 this year. But Jaden's been also driving to the basket to mostly decent success of late. And that's started by Ant passing out of the double, Rudy catching it on the short roll and kicking it to the opposite corner. And sometimes it's a different read. Sometimes it's a backdoor cut. Sometimes it's to the slot. If the defense rotates down or X's out to cover that pass to the corner. And Rudy did a really good job in this game of decision-making, and then occasionally having to try and make the defense pay if they sag off of him and try and cover the baseline cut, or if they try and, if they do a good job at recovering to the perimeter, then Rudy's got to take that shot and put pressure on the defense. And he missed one floater in this game that was kind of ugly, but he shot 6 of 8 from the floor. Rudy had 14-14, 5 assists, 4 steals, and 0 turnovers. I don't know this for a fact, but I'd be pretty surprised if he has very many career 5 assists, 4 steal games with no turnovers. This was a phenomenal Rudy Gobert game. And I'm even just talking about offense. He was really good defensively too. But early in this game, it all started with Ant making the right choices, Rudy making them pay on the short roll, Randall punishing mismatches. And then the other piece of this thing early was Rob Dillingham. Rob finished with 10 points, and I think all 10 of them all 10 of his points were in his first stint in the game. And he was efficient. I know he ended up 4 of 9, which is fine. But a lot of that was late in the game. He was trying to press a little bit, trying to get some garbage time points. He also had 6 turnovers in this game. But Rob, his ability to score, and I talked about this extensively about a week ago, maybe middle of last week, when he's on the floor with Ant to try and having another guy that could truly put pressure on the defense off the dribble and can catch and shoot, can shoot off the dribble, can get to the basket, has obviously good court vision. That's all very important. And Chris Finch talked after the game about trying to pair him up with Rudy Gobert more, which makes a lot of sense too, for multiple reasons. But like really strong early stint from Rob Dillingham, gave them kind of a shot in the arm when they needed it. They, it was still kind of lead was hovering around 10 points, and he kind of pushed them over that threshold and played really strong minutes in the first half, especially. So really good to see that out of Dillingham. But those were my biggest things. The points in the paint, it goes along with everything I talked about, with Rudy being good on the short roll and putting pressure on the Nuggets half-court defense, which was so poor in this game. Also, some of the extra stuff in transition, which I wasn't expecting. Minnesota doubled up the Nuggets in fast break points. They had 16 fast break points to the Nuggets 8. Minnesota also had 18 offensive rebounds, which contributed to the Nuggets only had 14 offensive rebounds. Minnesota overall was a +9 on the glass. They were a +8 in fast break points. They were a +14 when it came to points in the paint. They won all those categories. They scored 37 points off of 20 Denver turnovers. And again, a lot of that in transition. I wouldn't necessarily bank on transition opportunities every time you play Denver, because and that's a dangerous game, trying to outrun Denver. I mean, with Jokic throwing full court passes and the stuff that Jokic does. However, it worked out in this game because Denver was so sloppy defensively, both getting back and then in the half court, and Minnesota generated so many live ball turnovers out of Denver too, which can happen. Like Denver gets into this, it's not quite Golden State from a few years ago where such a good offense turns it over a ton, but that's something Jokic and the Nuggets are prone to, and the Wolves capitalized in this game. Of course, there's 2 more games against the Nuggets. The next one's not until mid-March, and then April 1st is the last one. So Minnesota doesn't have the tiebreaker yet. They've got to win one of the final 2 to get the tiebreaker. But as of right now, they're 4 games behind Denver in the Western Conference standings, and they, at the moment, do have the tiebreaker, having won the only 2 games they've played against Denver so far this year.
I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, comedy. I used to go to comedy shows all the time. Me and my friends in college used to go all the time. It's a blast. You don't even need, alcohol. You just go and have fun and laugh. It's a comedy show. That's the whole point. Just go have fun. Gametime has a new called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more near you. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime.
The Dallas Mavericks are down 1, 2, 3 centers. The Dallas Mavericks are down another center. Maxi Kleber has a fracture in his foot, and Lively had a fracture in his ankle, is what it came out. And so I don't know if the timeline for Maxi is longer. I'm gonna assume Maxi's done for the season, to be honest. Like just the way his injuries have gone, and a fracture like that is a big one, especially for a foot injury. And so and just the way that the Mavs luck has gone, honestly, like I'm putting luck into this too, that I'm just assuming that maybe he ramps up for the end of the season or something like that. But now the Mavericks have a bigger question. Dwight Powell's been out for a while. Lively's obviously still out long-term. Maxi is now out. It's just Gafford versus the world, or playing small ball with Kessler Edwards as the 5, which is what they did against the Celtics the other day. Oh, man. And so what's the big question about the centers right now?
Well, at this point, we're just going down the ankle, right? Or going down the foot. Like Lively had the ankle, Maxi had a foot. Somebody's going to fracture like Gafford's going to fracture his toe.
Don't say that. No, we're knocking on all the wood that there is.
And then we're just, rolling out Brandon Williams as a starting center. The Maxi injury is just, massive. Obviously, the Lively injury is just absolutely brutal for this team. But the Maxi injury on so many different fronts is just huge for this team. And so, yeah, now it's like, all right, with the Dwight out too, before they made the signing here, I was like, do they go out and do they bring, shout out to the person who has been in our comments, feels like for like months, it feels like about Sharp, bringing Sharp up from the G League.
Sharp, yeah.
And I was like, all right, do they bring Sharp up from the G League? Do they try to make a small?
Can we talk about Sharp for a second? Are you gonna get into it, or are we
about Sharp?
Yeah.
No, I got some stuff on the new guy, on Kelly, but
I just don't think Jamarian Sharp is very good. The times that we've seen him in the NBA, I don't think that he's been that great. I haven't heard a lot of things from him in the G League, but a lot of people have been asking for. I wanted to get the 7'5" guy. He just didn't show me a ton when he was with the Mavericks. So.
Super lanky, you're gonna hear the similar stuff like shooting, shot blocker, rim roller, but yeah, it's just, I think it's a little bit too skinny for that. But yeah, for the Mavericks of like, what do they do next? I was like, man, do they go out and they try to trade? Do they make a tiny trade to try to get like a backup 5? I've been kind of all in on trying to get Duop Reith in Portland. But what the Mavericks do for their positions, they kind of like define what the position is, like without a player. Like, hey, at this position at the 5 spot, we have to have a rim roller, a protect the rim guy, shot blocker, maybe a rebounder there, but like that's the type of 5 that we're going to roll with all the time. Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. You can go back through the past few. I mean, Dwight Powell, like he's a great rim runner. They don't kind of venture outside of this. Is kind of like my Dinwiddie thing of like they've been trying to put Dinwiddie into the Luka role at times, and it's like Dinwiddie's not Luka, but they've like defined each of these roles, and then they put players into the roles, and it's like this is so. Yes, before they signed Kyler Kelly, I was like, all right, they're going to have to go get somebody, and it's going to be a rim roller. It's going to be a shot blocker because this is the defined spot for them, at the 5 spot. And that's what they went and did. They brought a guy up out of the G League to do exactly that.
Yeah, and so now they bring in, I want to call him Kylor. It's spelled with an O-R at the end.
Star Wars?
Kylor. That's what it sounds like. Kylo Ren Kelly. Actually, I'm going to call him that.
Kind of the
Kelly.
Kind of the opposite of Kyler Murray. He's 27. I mean, just a little bit about, I don't think Kyler Kelly is going to stick around for the whole season or, log playoff minutes or anything like that. But he's 27, 7 foot, blocks a ton of shots. He became the all-time shot block leader at Oregon State in their like program history, and only played 2 years there. So yeah, he's a rim roller, plays above the rim. He just fits that definition. He played for the South Bay Lakers in the G League. So obviously, I mean, this is what they have scouts for. They've been scouting guys like him for a while now, and they decided to pull the trigger on Kyler Kelly and say, hey, this is the defined spot we have at center. You like your play is that definition. So we're going to try to give you a spot.
You said he's not going to log playoff minutes or anything. I think he's going to log NBA minutes though.
Well, I don't think they make the move if they're not going to at least try him out. So yeah. I don't think he's I don't think he's stepping in logging, 25 minutes a night. I think Dwight's probably going to play over him when Dwight can play. But I think that they're at least going to like try him out. I mean, why make the move if you're not going to try him out? And I'm a big Gortman fan, so I was kind of like sad that they let Gortman go.
Yeah, so the Mavs released Jason Gortman and they bring in Kyler Kelly. If they're just going to try him out and they're just going to do that, I kind of would be okay with trying Sharp again and bringing him back. Maybe there's something that they're seeing in the G League, but he's blocking three shots a game in the G League, and Kyler Kelly's was blocking 1.5. He blocked 3 a game last year for the Maine Red Claws in 22 minutes. In 22 minutes in the G League, he was blocking 3 shots a game. Like that's a pretty good rate, right? That's a pretty good block rate.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's gonna come in and he's gonna do the thing. I think Tim McMahon had a report from a scout that said he's perfect for the Mavericks system. He runs the floor, he rim runs, and he blocks shots. Like that's what the Mavericks need. It's exactly what the Mavs need at that spot. But this is a Band-Aid solution to what the Mavericks have right now, because I think that they're eventually they're hoping Lively comes back for this season. I don't know about Maxi, and it sounds like Dwight will be back for this season too, hopefully. But yeah, because then things start getting a little bit better. But right now it's bad. Like the Celtics game, I think I said this on the bottom slightly, is that like Maxi goes to the locker room, looks really frustrated, and all of a sudden Markieff Morris goes to the bike and starts warming up, and you go, that can't be the answer. But like that can't be the solution there.
I'm like, is Salah there? Like, is Salah still in? Is he still? Yeah.
He actually. Do I have the? I don't know if I have the drop anymore. Do I have?
I will say Kelly's going to wear number 15.
Breaking news. My barber cut Salah Mejri's hair the other day.
Oh my God.
He's still in Dallas.
Yeah, Salah. Yeah,
Can we bring him in?
He's definitely in Dallas. We should have him on the pod sometime. Get some good stories.
So he can yell at you again.
Yeah, just mid-season. Hey, do you remember that time you cussed me on the locker room because I tweeted something in the middle of the game? But he is going. Kyler Kelly.
Kylo Ren Kelly.
He's going to wear number 50, which is Salah's number.
Oh,
you better play like Salah if you're going to come don that number.
If Jason Kidd doesn't yell, you scored 2 effing points at him at a certain point.
Listen,
that was a Salah Mejri famous. If you haven't seen that video on YouTube, look up Salah Mejri Mavericks, and Salah's yelling at Rick Carlisle for something on the sidelines, and Rick Carlisle looks back at him and yells, "You have 2 effing points right now."
Listen, I'm not expecting a ton from Kelly. It's Gafford's show for the foreseeable future. They just need bodies back there. They're going to go small at times and throw, yes, and throw Kessler out there. They're going to throw, they're going to throw Omax out there at times. They might run PJ at the 5 at times, depending on the matchup. They're going to do that at times. And then I do expect Kelly to get some minutes here and there. And that's just what they're going to try to piece this thing together.